We will continue to be guided by the World Health Organization on international travel, which advises against the closure of borders. Like most other countries, we already have the means to control the importation of variants to other countries. This includes the requirement that travelers produce a vaccination certificate and a negative PCR test taken within 72 hours of travel, and that masks are worn for the duration of travel. We are deeply disappointed by the decision of several countries to prohibit travel from a number of Southern African countries, including our own, following the identification of the Omicron variant. This is a clear and completely unjustified departure from the commitment that many of these countries made at the meeting of the G20 countries in Rome last month. When they were there, they pledged that to restart international travel, it should be done in a safe and orderly manner, consistent with the work of relevant international organizations such as the WHO, the International Civil Aviation Organization, and the International Maritime Organization, and the OECD. The G20 Rome Declaration noted the plight of the tourism sector in developing countries and made a commitment to support a rapid, resilient, inclusive and sustainable recovery of the tourism sector. Countries that have imposed travel restrictions on our country and some of our Southern African sister countries include the United Kingdom, the United States, the European Union members, Canada, Turkey, Sri Lanka, Oman, the United Arab Emirates, Australia, Japan, Thailand, Seychelles, Brazil, and Guatemala, among others. Now, these restrictions are completely unjustified and unfairly discriminate against our country and our Southern African sister countries. The prohibition of travel is not informed by science, nor will it be effective in preventing the spread of this variant. The only thing the prohibition on travel will do is to further damage the economies of the affected countries and undermine their ability to respond to and also to recover from the pandemic. We call upon these countries that have imposed travel bans on our country and our other Southern African sister countries to immediately and urgently reverse their decisions and lift the bans they have imposed before any further damage is done on our economies and to the livelihoods of our people. There is no scientific justification whatsoever for keeping these restrictions in place. We know that this virus, like all viruses, does mutate and form new variants. We also know that the likelihood of the emergence of more severe forms of variants is increased significantly where people are not vaccinated. That is why we have joined many countries and organizations and people around the world who have been fighting for equal access to vaccines for everyone. We have said that vaccine inequality not only costs lives and livelihoods in those countries that are denied access, but that it also threatens global efforts to overcome the pandemic. The emergence of the Omicron variant should be a wake-up call to the world that vaccine inequality cannot be allowed to continue. Until everyone is vaccinated, everyone will continue to be at risk. Until everyone is vaccinated, we should expect that more variants will keep on emerging. These variants may well be more transmissible, may cause more severe disease, and may be more resistant to the current vaccines. Instead of prohibiting travel, the rich countries of the world need to support the efforts of developing countries, economies that is, to access and to manufacture enough vaccine doses There are several concerns about the Omicron variant, and we are still not sure exactly how it will behave going forward. However, we already have the tools that we need to protect ourselves against it. Tonight, I'd like to call on every person who has not been vaccinated to go to their nearest vaccination station without delay. This is the time for us to go and get vaccinated. Vaccination is by far the most important way to protect yourself and those around you against the Omicron variant, to reduce the impact of the fourth wave, and to help restore the social freedoms we all yearn for. Government has set up a task team that will undertake broad consultations on making vaccination mandatory for specific activities and locations. That is, to make vaccinations compulsory for certain locations and certain activities. A number of other countries, even in our own country, a number of companies have made vaccinations mandatory. I'd like a consultation to be engaged in, but I do want us to treat it seriously so that we're able to defend our people. The country should remain on coronavirus alert level 1 for now, and that the national state of disaster should remain in place. In taking the decision not to impose further restrictions at this stage, we considered the fact that when we encountered previous waves of infection, vaccines were not widely available and far fewer people were vaccinated. This is no longer the case. We will closely monitor infection rates as well as hospitalization over the coming days, and we'll review the situation in another week.